All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to talk about some incredibly clever monkeys, giant piles of valuable leaves, and one very powerful gorilla who wants a piece of the action.
So it all boils down to this one simple question. Why would these monkeys, the absolute most successful ones in the entire jungle, go through so much trouble to hide the leaves they work so hard for? Well, the answer pulls back the curtain on a hidden world of financial strategy that, believe it or not, affects all of us.
To really get why they do it, we have to understand the mess they're in. So let's start with part 1, the gorilla's share.
Okay, so picture this jungle. In it, you've got what we'll call the elite monkeys. These guys are the top of the food chain. They're innovators, they're super productive, and every single day they gather these massive piles of the most valuable leaves you can imagine. But, being that successful, it gets you noticed. Because every jungle has a ruler, and this one? He's got a really, really big appetite.
And here he is. Meet the Internal Revenue Silverback gorilla. He is the undisputed king of this place. He's powerful, he makes the rules, and his #1 rule is that he gets a cut, a share of every single leaf.
And just how big is his share? A whopping 40%. I mean, think about that for a second. For every 100 leaves an elite monkey gathers, 40 of them go straight to the silverback. It's just the law of the jungle. And for the monkeys, it's starting to feel pretty unfair.
So, all that frustration? It leads our monkeys to start listening a little more closely to the rustling in the trees. Which brings us to part 2, a whispered secret.
As they watch their piles of leaves shrink day after day, the elite monkeys get pretty fed up. And that's when they start to hear it, just whispers on the wind, stories about these secret, faraway jungles. Places where the silverback gorilla has no reach, no rules, and absolutely no power.
And what they're hearing presents a really clear choice, doesn't it? In their home jungle, they're getting hammered with a high leaf tax. But in these other places, these tax havens, the leaf tax is 0, nothing, not one leaf for the gorilla. Suddenly, the motivation here is crystal clear.
And these aren't just fairy tales. The whispers name actual, real places, legendary spots for those in the know. We're talking about places like the Cayman Islands and Dubai, where the financial rules are just, well, they're different.
So the monkeys know where they could go, but how do they actually make it happen? That gets us to part 3, the Cayman solution.
Now, this is the really brilliant part. These monkeys don't actually want to leave their home, They like their friends, their trees. So the question becomes, how do you get the benefits of these faraway havens without actually having to pack up and move?
Well, they came up with something we're going to call the banana stand strategy. It's a pretty simple 4-step plan. First, you pick one of those tax-free havens. Second, you open up a business there. We'll call it a banana stand. Third, all the new leaves you collect, all your profits, get funneled directly to that stand. And finally, boom, those profits are now officially somewhere the gorilla can't touch them.
And I mean, look at this chart. It shows you exactly why this is so tempting. Back home, you're looking at a 40% tax rate. But in the Cayman Islands or Dubai, where your banana stand is technically located, that rate drops to 0. The financial upside is just massive.
So by this point, you've probably figured out that this isn't really about primates and leaves. So for our last section, let's connect all the dots back to the real world.
All right, time for the big reveal. The elite monkeys we've been talking about this whole time are, of course, really successful people and large corporations all around the globe.
And the valuable leaves they're working so hard to protect, that's their money, their income, their corporate profits, the wealth they create through all their hard work and innovation.
And the Internal Revenue Silverback gorilla? Well, as the source material puts it, that's just a memorable way to talk about national tax authorities, like the IRS in the United States, or similar government bodies that collect taxes in other countries.
So why do they really do all this? Well, the most important thing to get is that a lot of this is perfectly legal. They're using these strategies to lower their tax burdens, to protect their assets in countries they see as being more stable, and of course, to take direct advantage of those incredibly powerful 0% corporate tax rates. And that leaves us with this final, really big question. Is using a tax haven a totally legal, smart financial strategy for companies and individuals? Or is it a huge global economic problem that lets the wealthiest among us avoid paying their fair share? The truth is, the answer seems to depend entirely on who you ask.